A StarCraft strategist has the ability to combine the innovative, perceptive, and holistic insights of a build order with the pragmatic and systemic skills of a pro to guide strategic direction in the StarCraft universe. Introducing the Strategist.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 7 of The Strategist. My name is OctanePro, and joining me, as always, is my co-host Buddha. Buddha, how's it going? Little thumbs up there.
Going well, man. Hang on a sec.
Take your time, take your time. So once again, guys, this is episode 7 of The Strategist. If you are joining us for the first time, I want to make sure you guys do go ahead and check us out on some of our previous episodes. Most of the previous episodes you'll find are focusing on a independent build, which we've done in the past. So make sure you guys check that out, youtube.com/thestrategist.tv. And if you're checking us out on YouTube, check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/amovetv. You all set there, Buddha?
I am indeed.
All right, excellent. Well, in the meantime here, let's jump into some recent StarCraft 2 news. Buddha, what's been going on with you? What have you been watching?
Well, watched a little bit of IPL TAC 3. Didn't get to see all of it. The finals, grand finals. Liquid did lose to IM, but they won the first series, so it was pretty close actually. It was supposedly really exciting and really dramatic, so I think everyone should go watch it. But also ASUS ROG and of course TSL 4. So there's a lot of stuff going on still.
Yeah, there's been more and more actually within the StarCraft 2 esports scene. We've been seeing more and more tournaments popping up, even online tournaments and qualifiers and everything. And on a few shows I actually listen to weekly, a lot of the pro players are starting to say it's getting hard to keep up with some of these. It's getting to the point where the industry, I don't want to say saturated, but it's almost there, to the point where like players and coaches and esports enthusiasts, there's so much to watch, you just can't watch it all.
And we don't even have to play in them. We just have to watch them.
Yeah, seriously. For the guys that have to play in them, it must be pretty rough to try to keep on top of all of those and watching your opponents and people you play, monthly, trying to keep up with some of the strats and stuff like that too. So, yeah, pretty crazy. But also, another recent news, if you have been living under a rock in the past week and a half, Blizzard released patch 1.5, which is a huge overhaul to the StarCraft 2 UI and GUI. And what were your first initial thoughts when seeing it, Buddha?
At first I was like, oh, cool, they actually did something. But now I'm not quite as happy with it. It's a little harder to navigate, and it's a little bit of a pain in the butt. But maybe we'll get used to it. I don't know. I'm not going to judge too quickly. I just don't like it so far.
Yeah. When I actually jumped online, I started streaming, loaded it up, and I was like, oh, there's a patch. Okay, cool, I forgot about it. And it's like optimizing StarCraft 2, and it's like, please wait, could take up to an hour. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, I just want to play StarCraft. I don't want to be optimized.
Let me reset all of your settings for you.
Exactly. And I heard it was a disaster, actually, for ASUS ROG because of the whole fact of, like, some of the units were functioning completely differently than they should have been, depending on certain files. And I heard it ended up being a real mess, and thankfully they got it under control. But can you imagine that as a tournament organizer? Like, hey, the game, which revolves completely around your tournament, is hosed.
Something that the tournament organizer can't be blamed for, though, so that's something to look at.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, long story short, the UI looks really, really cool. There's not as much blue as there was in the initial UI that Blizzard released. There's a few things that I'm kind of learning where it's at, where, I'm like, okay, where do I do this at? Where do I find this at? But it's not so, too bad. I feel like they're really, like, loading it up for Heart of the Swarm. So it's like a real easy transition.
Hopefully, because they made custom games a little bit more accessible by, showing people ratings and stuff and letting people rate stuff, it'll bring some of the casual audience back. I think it's a little late for that, maybe. But I also want to see, something we see a lot in, like, League of Legends or other games is they'll just customize their background to be like, hey, this is live right now. Do you want to watch it? And you click it, and it sends you right to the thing that's streaming it. And I think, that's something that Blizzard should be doing, supporting esports, supporting, like, all of these things built around their game, and I just don't see a lot of that happening right now.
Yeah, they've done a little bit towards that. Like, if you click, like, the news area or whatever, you can see, like, it shows different art, or not I would say different articles, but different items that are big. But it's not just, like, common stuff. Like, What are your thoughts if all of a sudden they throw up like a stream tab, like at the top, right, where you see everything else? You click on it, and it shows you streams that are going on live. And what if you could click on those, and then it would integrate it within StarCraft? Like you wouldn't have to leave StarCraft.
Even if it were just tournaments, like
Yeah.
it'd just be so much better. But whatever.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see. I completely understand there. And if you guys want more StarCraft 2 news and you're looking for, more information regarding, the latest tournaments that are going on, news, things like that, check out one of the shows on AMove TV, which is actually called StarCast. If you haven't checked it out already, it goes live on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. And I'm not sure. I think they're having PvZ, who's like the one and only observer within StarCraft 2. They're having him on as a guest.
Besides Legend.
Yes, exactly. They're having him on as a guest this week for like a guest interview and to kind of talk about the way that esports is evolving and the tournament scene is evolving. So if you guys haven't checked that out before, make sure you check that out. It's the StarCast show, 8 o'clock p.m. on Thursdays right here, twitch.tv/AMoveTV. And without further ado, let's jump into our newest segment of the show, which is the Noob Tip of the Week.
Well, actually, this is our second newest segment because I think our next one is the newest segment. But our Noob Tip of the Week is actually going to be turning unit health bars on. So it's really simple, and it's, again, a Noob Tip of the Week. So most people probably already have this set. But if you don't, you definitely should. It definitely helps you a lot. So Octane is in the game, I believe, right now. And he is going to press F10 for menu, and then O for options, and then M for gameplay. Or you can click them all if you'd like to. But showing unit status bars at the top left will turn on, or if you set it to always, of course, it will turn on unit health bars. And that way you can keep track of your units without having them selected. So if you're macroing and you want to blink your stalkers backwards or, do a little bit of marine micro and splitting, and you want to keep track of how much health everything has so you can, load a tank up at the last second, do some fancy micro and stuff. That's definitely something that you need to have in order to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And we're kind of developing this segment each week, into different tips, which to Buddha and I, it's very common things. But to people that are just getting into StarCraft 2 or trying to fine-tune their game, these little tidbits help out. So if you're an expert gamer, we do apologize for the redundancy. But if you're a new player, we hope we can help you out. If you guys have other tips, please make sure you shoot them over to our Gmail account, thestrategistTV@gmail.com. And we'll definitely add them. If you have thought of something that we haven't, email it to us. Let us know. Or if you're a new player and have tried out one of these tips and it works great for you, let us know. This is definitely for you guys. And let's go ahead and jump into our second segment, which is the first time we've actually used it. And it is the Streamer of the Week. So take it away there, Buddha.
Our Streamer of the Week is going to be EGSuppy for this week. And his stream is twitch.tv/superiorwolf. I don't know how to. I guess I could just spell it, but actually, I'm gonna show the camera. Let's see if this works.
Sure. Look at you. Look at you.
Wolf. Look
at those show
I had to
notes.
print my notes out because I'm not in my computer, so I only have one monitor. It's terrible, but that did not work at all. Actually,
not at all.
Now that I'm looking, that's twitch.tv/superiorwolf, and Suppy is a Zerg player from the U.S. and he goes to UC Berkeley, actually, which is a really, really kind of prestigious school within the UC system. And he's the ace and coordinator for his CSL team there. And, he just got on EG, of course, so that's a really big deal.
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool. I was actually online the night that EG announced that Suppy was joining them. And, 30 minutes later, Suppy went live on Twitch. And it was pretty cool to see, a pro player, which wasn't as well known, all of a sudden go from, status A right here to status B, way up here. Because EG is one of the most well-known teams out there, especially within the U.S. And it was really cool to see where all of a sudden his stream just got bombarded. You saw Gunrun in the channel there, upgrading his stream to partner status right away, so that everyone had the ability to change the resolutions and all that stuff. And it was really cool because the guy averaged 100 viewers every time he streamed. And then he went to 1,000 viewers the next time he streamed when he was on Team EG. So it was really cool to see. And want you guys to definitely check him out because he does some great commentary if you actually watch him. And he does some great explanation. And his stream isn't filled with advertisements like some of the other streamers are. But yeah, so definitely check him out. twitch.tv/SuperiorWolf.
And of course, that is one of the 2 players we're covering in tonight's episode. We're going to do 2 or 3 games from him, depending on how long it goes.
Yep.
We do have a best of 5 between him and LiquidHero here, and they are really long games. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and analyze a little bit of those. But, he actually doesn't play the most standard of styles. I mean, it's not like way out of the box, but he's going to play PvZ tonight, and he's not going to mass roaches even once. So, it's going to be really cool to see. It's not going to be like watching every tournament ever PvZ.
Blasphemy. Blasphemy. What are you talking about?
I know, right?
Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and jump into game 1 here. I am in the replay. Are you, Buddha?
I am indeed.
Alrighty, I'm on faster, and I am pressing play in, hang on, 3, 2, and 1. And in the upper left-hand corner,
There's no upper left-hand corner.
Alright, in the upper right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player being represented by Team Liquid's Hero. And
oh my goodness. And at the bottom left, we do have EGSuppy, the red Zerg player. I hate being not in my room.
That's right, I hear your phone going. No big deal.
I know.
No big deal, no big deal. Now we have some time to kill here. What does the RC stand for at the end of Suppy's name? Do you know? Because I've seen In Control with that as well.
In Control with what?
The RC letters.
That's their title sponsor. So it's a raid call.
Oh.
So it's EGSuppy raid call. EG In Control raid call.
Oh,
it's just
okay.
like they paid more to get better advertising kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, that makes sense. That's interesting, but whatever. That's actually kind of cool to start to see like in-game advertising in the little ways, like the way that you explained it right there. That's
really cool. A couple of teams have done that. Like Fnatic had RC on their name before.
Oh, that is right. I didn't even think about that, but now that you mentioned it, I do actually remember seeing that. So, anyways, jumping in this replay right here. Nothing too crazy at this point here. We do see a 9 pylon going down for LiquidHero and scouting across the map for him at this point. And for EGSuppy, pretty typical at this point. I mean, we're most likely going to see a hatch possibly first. And oh, he does get that probe. Wow.
Yeah, and he's just going to go pool first because that's the standard. You can go hatch first, but there's a bunch of different things, especially with I saw a series earlier this week actually where somebody put a pylon behind the gas at the natural against the Zerg, and then made a cannon, another pylon, a gateway, another pylon, and another cannon. And like made this gigantic wall off and started chrono boosting zealots at his opponent while forcing a cancel at the hatch at the natural. It was hilarious.
Well, what we actually see for LiquidHero now is he is taking his Nexus, and if you guys actually checked out, I think it was 2 or 3 episodes ago of the Strategist, we discussed the Forge Fast Expand, and there were 2 ways that you could do that. The first way was to actually take your Nexus first following the pylon, or to go with your Forge, all depending on what you scouted. So in this case here, we are seeing the Nexus first, and then the Forge following up very quickly.
Yep, and pretty standard, especially knowing that his opponent didn't go for that fast pull with that probe scout. And as we can see, Hero is scouting again just to make sure that that hatch went down. There's no gas being taken. Maybe deny the third for a little bit of time here, but really just to play safe.
So at this point right here, no gas has been taken for EGSuppy. He's just kind of droning up as much as he can at this point. He does have an Overlord at LiquidHero's base, so he is getting lots of scouting. And so far, he's just saying, okay, my opponent is expanding. He is going with a cannon at the front, so that will allow for a little bit of defense. So a Ling run by at this point isn't going to be very effective. And we'll have to see if we see EGSuppy actually take his third, knowing that his opponent did take his natural.
Yeah, he definitely should, and it looks like we have a drone on the way right now, and that is going to go down around the 440 mark, and that's what we were talking about when we talk about ZVP. We talked about taking that third between the 430 and 530 mark, so right on cue there.
And following up, we do see it actually a Cybernetics core going down for LiquidHero. He does have the double gas put up at this point here. This is going to set him up for quite a number of possibilities. He could go any direction here. He could move directly into some type of airplay if he wanted to, with maybe like a Void Ray and a few Phoenixes early game. Or he could just stay pretty traditionally and actually just go ahead and move into 3-gate Robo. So we're definitely going to have to see, how LiquidHero actually follows up with this.
Yep. Hero's just going to go in and check that there is a third base. Get all that information he possibly can. Good job by Suppy keeping that queen kind of where the probe was to make sure it didn't get any or got the least information possible. Always scaring your opponent, even if you're not actually doing something scary, can be good. So Hero going for a Stalker instead of a Sentry, and this is something we've been seeing him do a lot, actually, and we're going to see it a lot during this series, is he's going to go Zealots and Stalkers, not so much Sentries, because he likes to apply pressure early, and with Sentries, if they get caught, it's a huge investment. Stalkers can't really get caught if you don't have speed out.
Yeah, and we actually do see +1 for weapons going down, which, as you mentioned, I'm actually seeing this more and more commonly as Protoss taking the early expansions. Go ahead and push forward for that additional ground damage there for level 1. And that's about 65% completed at this point. So that will be a very early upgrade for LiquidHero. But as you can see across the map, actually, right now, we actually do see a Roach Warren going down. And on a 3 base with a ton of gas right now, that's funneling in. Those roaches are a strong possibility, especially with sitting on 3 base right now. And as you said at the very beginning, actually, EGSuppy has quite a unique, different style than the typical cookie cutter stuff.
Yeah, he is building that Roach Warren to be safe here, but as we can see, he's taking that layer and a 3rd gas very quickly. So while we have that Evo Chamber just now going down, he's not really going to have any kind of tech out early. No hatchery tech, you know, like his roaches are going to be delayed because he's getting so much gas tech here, and it looks like we have a pylon up at the top left. Suppy thought he killed the only probe because he cleared the one from the tower, but Hero smartly added another one and sent it to the top of the map, so Suppy's not really going to be ready for this.
Yeah, we see those Zealots coming in, and they'll be quite effective. There's only a Queen sitting there right now, and we do have some additional drones coming out, so very heavy droning coming from EGSuppy at this point. I think he's sitting very comfortably on the map, and it looks like we'll have the first engagement between these two players.
Yeah, 4 Zealots do come into the natural Suppy. They do have +1 completed. LiquidHero's even started +1 armor and not going for any kind of Twilight Council early for +2 or anything, so he's going to attack this hatchery, and there's not much Suppy can do here, man. He's got a couple of Lings, but against +1, they're not going to be enough with 8 Zealots out now. Yeah,
that amount of Zealots at this point kind of caught him off guard. Now, in the meantime, we do actually see a Spire that has just started for EGSuppy, which would be very effective versus this group of Zealots, but unfortunately the timing just doesn't work out, and these Zealots are going to be able to clean up this 3rd hatchery and actually put both these players back on even grounds on 1 base and their natural.
Yeah, and Suppy losing a lot of Lings up at the pylon and not even killing it at the top of the map for Hero. Hero's taking a 3rd base behind this, so really he's just used this pressure right now to force Suppy to stay back in his base, right? And now Suppy can't counterattack. He's got to save his base from these Zealots that are in his base. And Hero's free to finish this 3rd base up. He's going to probably add a couple of cannons here. He's got a Stalker there to ward any Zerglings off, and this is doing a lot of damage from Hero.
Yeah, it's quite a cluster right now at the natural of EGSuppy. He's doing a decent job of starting to clean this up, but he's losing so much mining time just to these simple Zealots, and LiquidHero is sitting very comfortably. There's no pressure at his base. He can simply warp in the Zealots and continue to get his economy up, and that's exactly what he's doing. And we're seeing additional upgrades as well, and the big thing to point out here is, okay, so Hero went ahead and took out the 3rd of Suppy. Now he's going to even add more pressure with the Dark Shrine in the next few minutes.
Yeah, and this Dark Shrine is actually really cool because what players have been doing in Hero's position is they've been going for a pretty fast robo, and that's to get, of course, an observer out so you can see what your opponent's doing. But Hero is actually going to go ahead and use all those Zealots to pressure, and then he's going to have gas for DTs. And he can use those DTs not only to apply a ton of pressure and do damage, but also to scout. And at this point, it's not that all in. He's on a 3rd base. He's going to start his gases there very soon. He's had his 3rd and 4th gases in his main for a long time. He's getting Blink. He's teching behind it. He's adding production. And, you know, these DTs, even if they don't do damage, will give him a fair amount of scouting. And he's going to see the Spire with it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, right now, LiquidHero is playing an excellent game thus far. Very standard, nothing too risky whatsoever. The natural was pretty standard, nothing that stood out to me at all. And the 3rd, it made sense. I mean, hey, he took his opponent's 3rd down as a Zerg. So economically, he has boosted himself ahead, not only with the taking out the 3rd, but also with all the mining time that was lost. And we're going to see how effective that is here in the next few minutes with how far of an advantage of the tech that LiquidHero has.
Yeah, so an Overseer is morphing at the 3rd base of Suppy, and he started another one in his main or natural or something like that. And these DTs are going to come in. They're going to do quite a fair amount of damage here to drones. Hero's going to see everything. He sees the Spire. He sees the macro hatch. He sees all the gases have been taken at every single base here. And let's take a look at the workers killed tab here as it keeps going up. We are currently at 21, 22, 23,
Wow.
24. It's getting pretty bad.
Yeah, and that's pretty ridiculous for just 4 units. And I really like how we actually saw him go ahead and take his DTs and split them. 1 to the main, 1 to the natural, and 2 to the third. So, I mean, that Overseer couldn't be everywhere at once. And with that came those additional kills. So, very nice play, actually, by LiquidHero. And he's just playing so perfectly right now. It's
well, and that puts him in a perfect position too, because now he's on 76 workers to the 64 of Suppy. He's hit 76 workers at the 13-minute and 30-second mark. That is incredibly impressive here. And now he's starting his second forge. So this is not something we see very often in PvZ at all. It's just a very upgrade-heavy style. Normally we just see +3 come out, and that's the end of upgrades. But Hero's going to go for those armor upgrades as well.
Yeah, and right now, LiquidHero is actually sitting very comfortably. He could take a 4th if he wanted to. He could continue to tech up. But right now, his upgrades are looking very nice. He's at 1-2 right now. And as for Suppy, I mean, yeah, the mutas are very effective, and they're going to do a decent job. But look how well LiquidHero has prepped for this. He has a few cannons in his base. He's gone ahead and he has a few stalkers available. So he's ready for any muta harass that Suppy can throw at him.
Yeah, and on top of this, because Suppy went for this muta style, he wasn't making roaches early, right? So then he's banking all this gas, and then he's like, oh, I need roaches. So he starts making roaches, and oh my god, look at that catch. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was a really impressive catch. Perfect timing for the second set of stalkers to move their way up, and that will force things back. And this is kind of interesting, because Suppy's been quite far behind when it comes to economy. And he's been spending so much time and money droning back up to where he needs to be. And now he's taking a 4th even before his opponent, who's been ahead of the game the entire time.
Yeah, and, you know, he should be taking that base earlier. It's going to be very prone to any kind of harassment. I mean, 3 DTs going over there would easily take it out before it finished. But not going to be a big deal to Hero, because he's sitting on 3 bases and getting his upgrades. And he's going to have a beautiful timing. I mean, if he forces this to cancel, then Suppy's probably just going to make units and try to kill Hero. And that's not what Hero wants. Hero wants to take a 4th. We can see him starting that 4th at the bottom of the map. And he wants Suppy to be droning right now, right? He wants him to be equal on economy, because then Hero wins that game.
And in the top middle of the portion of the map, we do see some zealots getting caught off guard. Speedlings and roaches pushing their way towards LiquidHero's base, as Liquid's army is out of position and was at the bottom right with the 4th. And these speedlings are going to funnel in very, very easily. And force fields going down to try to block any speed run-bys.
Yeah, so we see Storm going down. We have +3, +2 finishing for Hero. Great upgrades compared to the 2-0 that Suppy has right now. So, as we can see, these Zerglings do no damage. No units get lost there for Hero at all. And I mean, Suppy's like now droning this 4th. You know, he's got his gases started on it, but he's completely like out of money. They're even on supply. Hero has a better upgraded army, and let's be honest, pure gateway units and stuff just beats this really kind of light army of Mutalisks and Lings with no upgrades.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised. EGSuppy had LiquidHero out of position. The army of LiquidHero was in the bottom right. The army of EGSuppy was in the top right, and he could easily have done quite some damage to that front line, possibly take out the Forge, you know, take out a Cybernetics Core and push forward all before the army got there, and he chose not to. He actually chose to run down and try to take out the 4th, and I think he lost a large edge there that he had on LiquidHero, all because of that poor decision-making.
Yeah, there is the other edge of that. That is, if his whole army gets trapped, he has to remake it, and his army is very larva-intensive, and he doesn't have a lot of larva to work with right now, so... yeah, in a sense, you're right, but in the other sense, well, we have another large engagement here. Mutaling Infestor against all of these units here, and you know, Hero gets some really good force fields blocking a lot of the Infestors off for a long time. Almost all of the units for Hero are going to go down here, but Suppy's going to lose everything too, and Hero's army was only gateway units. It was There were no Colossus, there were no Immortals, there were very few Sentries, there were only 2 High Templar, and you know, Suppy's armor was Infestor Muta, and he lost everything, so this is actually a very good engagement for Hero here.
Yeah, Hero really only stayed alive because of his upgrade count. If you take a look, he's at 2-3, which is really impressive. I mean, He was there just a few minutes ago. He hit that mark, and he's moving along very well for his upgrades. And I think that's the one thing that's keeping him in this game right now, without getting overrun by the Zerg army, is the fact that his upgrades are so high. And as you had said too, his upgrades are high, but his army composition is so low when it comes to just gateway units and no higher level tier 2 and tier 3 units.
Yeah, and he's trying to add some High Templar. He's got some at home at every single base, actually. His second, his third. He's got Blink Stalkers at home to help deny the Mutalisk attacks and stuff. And, Hero's just doing a really good job. Look how far ahead he is in supply right now. So he takes out the fourth of Suppy. Suppy realizes he's got to make something happen with what he's got. And it's not much. Not much.
So we do see the fourth go down for EGSuppy. So once again, his economy is suffering at the beginning of the game and also now sitting at the 20-minute mark here. And with that in mind, LiquidHero is sitting very comfortably on 4 base. And we'll have to see kind of how that transpires, as we are still, as we said earlier, sitting on only, gateway units for the main core of LiquidHero.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that LiquidHero used a War Prism this entire game. And that is definitely a theme we're going to see here. Huge engagement in the middle of the map. Wasn't even close. Hero didn't really even lose a unit to any of the forces of Suppy there, and GG.
Yeah, so just that first game. What are your thoughts on that first game? What are some things you saw you liked, you didn't like?
Well, Hero forced a lot of things, right? By doing that Zealot pressure, if your opponent commits to Roaches very quickly, then they're going to crush your Zealot pressure, and you're really not going to do a lot of damage, assuming those Roaches are out in time. On the other hand, if someone plays like Suppy and they get that Roach Warren to be safe, and they drone extra, and they don't have that settled larva ready to make the Roaches, then they're going to take a lot of damage. And as we saw, Suppy lost his third, wasn't able to mine that gas for that Spire, and spent gas on Roaches. So now he's trying to tech up, but he doesn't have gas, and he didn't have any banked because he had to spend it to stay alive.
Yeah.
So really good forcing at the beginning of the game from Hero, and by taking that fast third base was in a much better position.
Yeah, that was actually a really enjoyable game to watch as as a non-Protoss player. Seeing LiquidHero play so simply, but also, keeping things in mind. Hey, I take out a third. Okay, I take my third. Pressure the Zerg here, move on here. He was playing very basic, but all the decisions he made were very effective. And to me, it was really surprising. I mean, that simplicity allowed him to not get Colossi, not have High Templar in his main army, not have, Archons at all in his main army, which was really surprising because usually, right now, like with the Zerg metagame, those are kind of like necessities when it comes to your Protoss army.
And both the players played a little bit out of the metagame, right? Suppy got that Roach Warren to be safe, but didn't commit to Roaches, didn't try to max out on Roaches and move across the map and do damage and then tech to Infestors. Yeah. He went for a Mutaling style, and he made Roaches because he had to. While Hero actually didn't make a Robo. He went straight to Twilight Council and straight into DT. So Hero playing way outside the metagame, since the meta is typically 1-gate Robo here. He went to that 4-gate into Twilight Council, which can be a little bit dangerous if your opponent goes for something like burrow off 2 bases after you kill his third and attacks you, or any number of things from there. But he got it to work because he was able to get those DTs and get that scouting information. And he basically went the whole game not using a Robo. He made 1 observer the entire game, I think.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. And last thing, as you had pointed out, actually, when we were going through that replay, was the Warp Prism. That Warp Prism was really cool play to see. He did have some few proxy pylons in the beginning of the game, but after he was able to get that Robo and the Warp Prism, he used the Warp Prism beautifully several times to properly reinforce to actually win encounters.
Yeah, you did a good job, man. So I think we are ready to move on to game number 2 here.
Yes, we are, and I'm in game number 2, set on faster, and starting in 3, 2, and 1. And in the upper left-hand corner on Ohana, we have the blue Protoss player representing Team Liquid. We have Hero.
And at the bottom right, representing EG, we do have Suppy. And, again, Suppy is going to take this best of 5-5 games. Spoiler alert, but we are just analyzing these, not just casting them. So, in this game, we are going to see, again, a 9 scout out of Hero. And it's going to be really important to watch that he sees that there's not an early pool, and he just loves going Nexus first. And I love seeing it from him. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see here. But Octane, man, you don't play Protoss or Zerg. I was going to say, what do you think about this map for PvZ? And I was like, Well, what do you think about this map for PvZ?
All right, first off for PvZ, I think this is a decent map when it comes to the ramp right now for Protoss. It makes it much easier to defend once we get into like the 5 or 6 minute mark against any early Zerg pressure. As for Zerg, when it comes to the third that's available, I feel the third is the third is very easy for Warp Prism drops or any types of other drops that would like to go on. And the third can sometimes be defendable. But what I want to point out is the fourth. Well, if this game gets to a fourth, I haven't watched this replay yet. If this game gets to the fourth, that's where it's a little bit harder as Zerg to defend because of the fact of the creep spread. But what about you? What are your thoughts for PvZ on this map?
It's hard for both players to kind of take extra bases past the third on this map. So typically I think the player that's ahead has a harder time staying ahead on this map because if you get ahead as Zerg, then you want to take another base. But that like exposes you so much more than on any other map. Mm-hmm. So as like Protoss, as we're going to see, because Hero gets ahead at some point, he's just so open to counterattacks. Even with brilliant defense, it's so hard for him. So we do see Suppy throwing down his hatch here at 16 supply and going to go ahead and make a queen and an overlord and all that nice stuff. Very, very standard opening from our Zerg player here. And for our Protoss, again, Nexus in the Forge. Suppy sees that it's Nexus first, but knows there's not much he can do against it. And yeah, just a very smooth opening from both players, basically.
Yeah, we're actually seeing identical openings for both players. Different map here, but identical openings. And as you can see here, now that the wall is starting to form at the top of the ramp for LiquidHero, defending this is going to make it really easy. Even against something like a 7 Roach Rush, it'll make it much, much easier because of the concave of the top of that ramp and the bottom of the ramp and how your army kind of forms up it. So, I don't know. I definitely like this map for Protoss. I'm not going to be one to be like, oh, this map favors Zerg over Protoss. I don't think Ohana is like that. Do you feel that way for any of the races for this map?
No, I think Ohana is generally considered one of the most balanced map in the map pool. So, no, I don't think that way at all. I think this is an okay map for both sides. I just think it's difficult to stay ahead once you get ahead.
Correct.
Relatively speaking.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think towards endgame for like drops and stuff like that. If you're looking at Terran or Protoss or anything like that, I do like the bottom left-hand corner, how open that is. Allows it to be susceptible to drops. And then, as you said, the fourth is not as taken as early on this map, or taken as easily, I'm sorry, on this map. So there are some drop possibilities there. But, yeah, we'll have to see how this develops and, you know, how this map is favored for our Protoss or Zerg player.
Yeah. So one thing I do want to point out here is we have those 2 gases for Hero. It's not going to tell us anything, right? This is a very standard opening for Protoss, but he's going to go ahead and throw down a Stargate in, I'm guessing, about 10 seconds here. Oh, look at that. I'm so good at this game. And one thing I want to say about Stargate openings is we haven't covered this in an episode yet, but because it's kind of fallen out of the meta, is usually we see a 3rd gas start when this Stargate starts, and then the 4th gas start when the Stargate finishes. Okay. But Hero's going to wait till it's halfway done and then take both his 3rd and 4th at the same time, which is a cool little adaptation. I think it's a little bit less efficient, but, you know, it gives him, it just gives him a little more gas to start, but a little less minerals, but, like, he's, like, trying to tweak it by not taking them too early. It's really weird. But, of course, we're going to see a Void Ray come out of this first, because that's pretty standard. We've seen some pure Phoenix openings, but that's kind of fading in and out.
Yeah, we actually are most likely, like, just taking a guess here, most likely see a Void Ray come out with, like, 2 or 3 Phoenixes, 5 max. That's really pushing it. That's a lot of money to invest. And the whole purpose of that is just harassment. Harass your opponent.
You're absolutely right. We usually see 3 to, well, sometimes we see only a Void Ray, right? But sometimes we see 3 Phoenixes, sometimes we see 4, sometimes we see 5, but I think we're going to see Hero make, like, 7, actually, which is ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money into that whole harassment because, I mean, it's effective, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot of money to invest into that harassment.
So something that Hero really started doing that I think it was mostly him that kind of adapted this was he started using his Phoenixes and not just trying to kill queens early, not just trying to, he keeps them alive, And because of the metagame with Infestors, he just runs all his Phoenixes over the Infestors as soon as the fight's going to start, lifts all of them up at the same time, and then the Zerg player who invested all of his gas into Infestors now loses all of his units, and then the Infestors land and he loses all of his Infestors.
Yeah. So we do see the Void Ray take down an Overlord, which goes ahead and allows Suppy to see, okay, I need to get Spore Crawlers. So we see Spore Crawlers going down at each of his bases here, and actually investing directly right into Infestors. And to me, I feel like that's rather early. I mean, we're not even at the 9-minute mark yet, and we're seeing an Infestation Pit go down. So I'm really interested to see what early Infestors are going to do against this Void Ray Phoenix harassment type of army composition for LiquidHero.
And this is the most common, well, this is the most common way to play ZVP right now, but this is the most common way to react to a Stargate build. In fact, when Stargate builds were the only thing Protoss players were doing, this was the response, because your other response is to go Hydralisk, and Hydralisk suck against Colossus. All Protoss players know that, and they would go Stargate into straight Colossus. They'd clean up all your Overlords so you don't know what they're doing, and they tech straight to Colossus, hit with a +2 or +3, 3 Colossus push. And the Zerg player would typically just die. So Infestors became the new way to deal with this. Infested Terrans, Fungals, a couple extra Queens, anything like that. And it looks like, we're going to have a little bit of harassment from these Zealots here. Not a big deal. The Queen's going to get picked up and it's going to die. But Suppy's going to hold on to this pretty okay.
Yeah, I mean, Queens, Zerg have been making more and more Queens with the recent changes in patch 1.4. to the Queens. We are seeing more and more actually coming out for Zerg, and even though those additional Queens are available to actually add some defense against this harassment air army, we're not seeing a ton actually being used by EGSuppy. He's kind of just taking his time, getting the appropriate units necessary to stop this, and yeah, he lost a little bit here and there, but not as much as what I thought he would. Not as much that would equal actually the amount of how much money LiquidHero is putting into the Phoenix and Void Rays.
Yeah, and at the third of Hero, we do have Suppy counterattacking, and Hero just had a couple of sentries there, but look at these force fields on these cannons. He's actually going to hold these Zerglings off pretty brilliantly, and well, actually his cannon was shooting the rocks the whole time. Hero was like, I don't really care. This isn't really a threat.
Speedlings? I spit on Speedlings.
Yeah, really, right? But these Phoenixes coming in and killing more Queens off and such, and it's kind of becoming a big deal. He's supply blocked Suppy a few times. Yep. He's killed off a bunch of Overlords. Well, I guess that's what I just said, basically. And he's killed off a bunch of Queens. But one thing that Suppy's doing that people really need to start doing is when you have Queens, just put them next to Spore Crawlers automatically. All the time. And, an Infestor gets picked off. That's, so much gas. So much gas. TP.
Yeah, and as you said there, the Queen actually Spore Crawler combination is actually rather effective and rather strong, and now we're starting to see these Phoenixes, their life actually going down. Now, granted, they will have the shield actually help recover them there, but EGSuppy is holding on pretty well, and now he has a decent amount of Infestors on the field.
Yep, and he is going to try to fungal and kill off this Void Ray here. It's going to, half work, and then Hero's going to run, and he's going to kill it anyways. So that's pretty cool. And Suppy starts taking his fourth now. It's a little bit late considering the relative lack of pressure Hero's put on. It's really only been these Phoenixes, but he hasn't really been able to get a drone over there. Every time he sends one, Hero just picks it up and picks it off. So these Infestors under a little bit of risk here from these Phoenixes, but as we can see, Hero, oh my god, just splits his Phoenixes up, and he's like, all right, go ahead, waste all your energy on these. I dare you.
Yeah, and he's really trying to get EGSuppy to waste that energy, as you expressed there, because he does have a decent, actually, ground army. These Phoenixes and Void Rays are not his endgame solution. So please keep that in mind. Maybe in the future we'll do, actually, one of our builds on kind of this early Void Ray Phoenix gameplay, but it's not an endgame solution. As you can see in LiquidHero's base, he has several now. What is he on? 7 gate? Yeah, 7 gate right now. And he's actually moving into a Colossi kind of solution with a gateway unit composition. So just something to keep in mind to not overinvest into those air units.
Yeah, he's going to push out with 2 Colossus, a third one on the way. He's starting a second forge again, really liking his upgrades. And yeah, that's another trend we're going to see here, right? These upgrades, these War Prisms. He's already got a War Prism out on the map. It's actually, I don't know where his War Prism is. Do you know where his War Prism is?
Oh, I did not spot
Engagement!
it. So we
Sorry.
do have the Infestors going ahead and actually going ahead and putting some Infested Marines down. He's actually fungling a decent amount. And EGSuppy is actually doing a much better job than what I originally anticipated here at actually holding on with this Infestor Speedling combination.
Yeah, but Colossus are really good, so they're basically going to clean everything up. But keep in mind, Suppy did keep his Infestors alive. He's got a decent count still. The Phoenix is picking a bunch of them up and killing them off. It's really annoying. But Suppy is continuing to make Infestors, continuing to make Zerglings, getting Adrenal Glands, getting Aspire, getting +3/+3 in just a second.
Yep.
And in the meantime, Heroes at home like, all right, I'll just keep teching. I'm going to make a Mothership. I'm going to get +3/+2. I'm going to get Blink. I'm going to get more Warp Prisms.
Yeah, there's a lot of tech that's getting actually researched right now. A lot of investment that's actually going to put LiquidHero quite a bit of ways ahead of his opponent. But now we do see the Warp Prism journeying down the right side of the map, approaching the 4th, 5th. I don't know what you exactly call it because of the fact that the 4th was taken and destroyed. But long story short, it's then going to go into the natural and get spotted right away. And oh, a fungal almost catches it. But I like it. You know, LiquidHero just did so much damage to EGSuppy by taking on that 4th. And now he's going to follow up with a Warp Prism just to go ahead and slow him down even more.
Yeah, and, you know, that Warp Prism really is just bringing in reinforcements right now for Stuffy. His whole army is over there. On the left side, there is a Warp Prism. I'm not sure if that's the one you pointed out, but, yeah, Hero's just harassing everywhere with these at the same time. This army, pretty mobile with Zerglings, but the Infestors are not so much. So, you know, these Zerglings are going to have to fight Zealots in a heads-up fight, and Hero's got equal upgrades to his opponent right now. So, it's going to be really, really annoying for Suppy to have to split his Zerglings and figure out exactly how many he needs depending on the chokes and all that kind of stuff. So Hero tries to take a 4th here. He's killing off the 4th. Well, he's already killed the 5th. And he's killing off the 4th of Suppy again, and he's going to get it. And, you know, he's just being so annoying, maxing out on a really, really good composition for a Protoss player. And meanwhile, Suppy's trying to get to those Broodlords, right? He's got Corruptors coming out. He's got Greater Spire coming out. And he's got two hatcheries right now for macro hatches because he needs to spend his money because all of his new hatcheries keep dying. And in the meantime, we have a counterattack.
Yeah, so the counterattack gets right in there, trying to do some damage to the economy of LiquidHero. He's pretty much trying to take out that Nexus there to slow him down. And also in the meantime, we see Blink that has finished up. We see the Mothership coming out right now as well. And yes, that 3rd does go down. And actually, we're going to see EGSuppy try to take down the 4th as well.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about, man. LiquidHero was so far ahead. He had Storms and Cannons at his 4th base. He had Storms and Cannons and Warpins at his 3rd base. Couldn't hold either of them from these Zerglings. So, this is what I was talking about when I said, you know, LiquidHero was ahead, but he couldn't stay ahead. It was almost impossible. And now he's taking out the Phoenixes with these Infestors and stuff. I mean, that was the best defense Hero could have had, I think, right?
Yeah.
And it just didn't work. So Fungo's going down on this army. There's a lot of Archons against these Zerglings. It's going to be really bad for Stuffy, but he's got Broodlords now. And he's going to pin this army in place, not let Hero blink forwards at all. And this army is going to take so much damage right here, actually.
Yeah, it's actually really cool to see EGSuppy, you know, changing the pace of the game and actually taking control of the game. All because of the fact that he was able to take out that 3rd and that 4th and put EGSuppy ahead so well. And he is going to go ahead and clean up LiquidHero's army here for the first time actually in this game and the series so far in the best of 2. That Mothership, and it looks like he had those units get pulled out of there very quickly with the Mothership there. And saved actually 3 Colossi with 1 only at 8 health.
Yeah, and, you know, saving 3 Colossus is a really big deal, actually. That's a lot of splash damage he has. That's 600 gas and 900 minerals he just saved. And the robo time that he doesn't have to reproduce them with, right? So now he's trying to add on Archons to really help out with this Zergling count right now. He's got a High Templar. Hero's just got a baller army going, but he's only at 120 supply because his bases keep dying.
Yeah.
So he's got to find a way to make up for that. Suppy, in the meantime, at 167 supply. And, yeah, man, this game is not even close to over, let me tell you.
Yeah, I mean, we do actually see now the 4th going down for a 3rd time for LiquidHero. And the 3rd is now back up and running compared to what we saw earlier. And right now, pretty much, EGSuppy does have map control. It does have a larger army. count at this point. But LiquidHero is doing quite a bit of investment into his tech as well, as he's currently sitting right now at 2-2 in regards to a 3-3 army for EGSuppy.
So that counterattack, I think, is the story of this game right now. Like,
Yeah.
Hero would be in a fantastic position, right? You have so much gas, you have so many minerals to work with, but now he's sitting on his haunches trying not to die. And, you know, his natural is basically mined out at this point. His main is mined out. His third is maybe halfway. So his fourth is really going to be his only mining base in a little while here. He's trying to keep EGSuppy from taking extra bases, and oh my god, High Templar get caught out of position, barely survived. But Storms are really good against Zerglings, buddy. I don't know if you knew.
Just a little bit. So we did actually see the LiquidHero not only drop with the High Templar and pressure the economy of EGSuppy at his fourth, we actually saw at his fifth, actually, denying that. LiquidHero was able to deny that for EGSuppy. So back and forth right now, a little banter between both players, trying to slow down the other when it comes to economy. Excuse me. And a lot of High Templar, Archon, and Colossi out on the field, which is a lot of last game we saw a lot of gateway units for LiquidHero. This game now we're seeing a lot of upper level units, very expensive for LiquidHero.
Yeah, and EGSuppy right now, I think is what?
You're good. Sorry, I coughed.
Oh, okay. Sorry. EGSuppy right now is almost 20 Broodlords. He's at 17. He's got 5 Corruptors, 10 Infestors, no Zerglings. You know why? You don't need no Zerglings. You don't need Zerglings at this point. You got Broodlings. And if you make enough Broodlings, it doesn't matter how many Zerglings you have. EGSuppy's throwing Zerglings away right now, trying to free up more supply. He's got 60 Larva. And this is one of the advantages of going Ling Infestor instead of Roach Infestor. You have all this extra gas. And EGSuppy was on Broodlords at like 18 minutes in this game. It was ridiculous. You get that tech out so much faster going Ling Infestor. And, you know, he's done an okay job getting to this point. And, of course, we've had some problems holding a fourth, holding a fifth, but so is Hero. So I think that the story of this game also so far has been that counterattack and, you know, Ling Infestor as opposed to Roach Infestor. Look how much more efficient it is at like getting everything out faster late game.
Yeah, we actually saw, we're seeing a twist of the game. So we saw EGSuppy take out the third and fourth of LiquidHero earlier in the game, and it put EGSuppy ahead for 10, 12 minutes. Now what we're seeing is LiquidHero dropping with Warp Prisms, trying to, kill drones, slow down his opponent, and pressure. And look at all the creep that's been cleaned up. And he's doing a really nice job, but here comes probably one of the biggest engagements so far this game.
Yeah, and it's going to be Mothership, High Templar, Colossus, Stalker, Archon against Broodlord, Infestor, and oh my god, a huge blink actually takes out a couple of Infestors there. Big deal. Infestors are like the sustainability of EGSuppy's army, right? He can stay alive for so long, even if he's not doing well. The Infestors are just so cost efficient if you keep them alive. So, looks like all these Broodlords are really spread out all over the map, and EGSuppy's just gonna kind of start a death push. Both players are maxed out. Yeah. That fourth base is up for both of them, no fifths, and yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. They're both trying to get proper army kind of positioning here, back and forth, here and there. Not just giant balls hitting against each other here for one army versus another. And so far, LiquidHero trying to do the best he can to snipe out as many Broodlords as possible.
Yeah, and this is something that EGSuppy did that I really like, and I want to point out. He made like 8 Overseers, man. He's not fucking around here. Yeah. He says, no, man, I know you have a mothership. Let's make sure I always have detection.
Yeah, let's dance. Come on now, buddy. So I'm waiting for the giant toilet to go down here, the vortex to be used, and it looks like he's kind of waiting on that. He does have the energy for it. And
yeah, he's really waiting on those Broodlords to bunch up, but EGSuppy's not making a mistake here, man. Like, if you only catch half these Broodlords and their other half are still out, that's enough to kill you still if you lose everything in there. So, yeah, well, big engagement again here, and EGSuppy is basically, I mean, he's losing a lot of stuff, but he's kind of cleaning this up.
Yeah, he's doing a really nice job. He's micromanaging all of his units. We do actually see a toilet bowl vortex go down for LiquidHero, and he gets a few units in it, but not enough at this point. We see more and more
Archons can't get there.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, the Archons can't get in, and there's another toilet, but only one gets in.
Yeah, and what that does is that Archon toilet does also allow the units to be bunched up. Right now, all the Broodlords sitting on top of each other. So if he had any High Templar, it would be GG if he could wipe out those units. So now all the units are bunched up. We don't actually see any Corruptors out right now. So the Mothership is taking no damage whatsoever, but the Overseers are doing great when it comes to detection.
Yeah, and I mean, this Mothership is going to sit here auto-attacking these Broodlords, but it's not going to do very much damage. So, yeah, Suppy basically is going to just keep walking through this army here. It's going to take a really long-ass time because Hero's, you know, going to fight back as best as he can, but that's basically game number 3, man. Suppy's just gonna keep rolling Hero over.
Game number 2, and yeah, definitely. I mean, Hero is one of those Korean players that has that mentality, which like you don't just give up and GG if there's even a slight chance of possibly winning here. And as you can see, he's working as much as he can to try to take out this army. And believe it or not, Suppy actually, you know, is taking quite some damage in his own base. Drops have been going on. Things have been cleaning up. So Suppy right now is only mining off of 1 base, which is completely under attack. And we have 3 Stalkers that are just destroying when it comes to all these drones if you look in the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah, it's really smart that, you know, Hero can do all this at the same time, right? I would never be like, oh yeah, right now is a good time to do a 3 Stalker drop.
Yeah.
But look how efficient it was. These Stalkers have just so many kills on them, and now they're still safe in that Warp Prism, so Suppy gonna have to get back to mining at that base. A Void Ray, single Void Ray is out cleaning up a lot of Broodlords here. And you know, Hero kind of fought this off a little bit, but Suppy is the guy that's mining right now by a lot more than his opponent. And
yeah, it was actually really surprising. I mean, for quite some time there, I think Suppy was sitting on like 74 minerals and couldn't do anything. And that was really effective, and hence why, I mean, right now, look at Suppy's army count supply. He's at 92 supply versus 71, so not exactly that far off. Now, granted, you know, each of these guys are actually only sitting on 1 base mining. So, I mean, they're pretty even, and their supply is not that far off.
Yeah, no, it's not. But, again, this many Broodlords, like, Hero's really going to have to kill these off in order to bring this back. And he's doing an okay job. I mean, these Void Rays have probably 20 kills between the 2 of them, which is really nice. But Suppy, again, is just going to go Infestor Broodlord and come back again with, you know, smaller army, but Hero has he's got 1 mineral patch with 32 minerals on it. He's got 37 guys mining minerals right there.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising now that we look at it. And we do actually see another base on a 4th, 5th, whatever you want to call it, for LiquidHero trying to go down in the upper left-hand corner. But, you know, right now we do see EGSuppy actually sending a changeling over there. And he's doing a really good job, you know, just keeping an eye on his opponent and finding out exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, and, you know, he sees the extra base. All the guys are mining there. And Suppy actually making Zerglings now, which I kind of like a little bit, because you can counterattack with them and force Hero to maybe warp in Zealots or something, which he doesn't want to do against Broodlords, but in this particular case, it's going to work out actually really well, forcing a cancel at the last base Hero is trying to take here. And Suppy's actually going to come up and try to take this base now.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's a very large stalemate. EGSuppy, though, putting a lot more money into his army versus LiquidHero, who is just trying to get his economy back up and running. And, I mean, that Broodlord Infestor army, with a few Corruptors now, actually up to 6, is definitely growing much, much stronger than this Stalker Zealot army of LiquidHero.
All right, well, this game continuing to go on at 114 to 75 supply. Worker count's pretty even here. Corruptors coming out for Suppy to help deal with any additional Void Rays that might come out. And his army's sitting over his 4th, because that's the only base he really cares about. There is some tech in his main, of course, but any army that goes up there can get caught from running away, so he doesn't mind as long as he can get there to keep that army from escaping.
Yeah, and I like how...
Now,
go ahead.
What's that? Oh, sorry. Hero's just now long-range mining from his 4th, and, yep, just waiting for the death push.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. I mean, we actually see EGSuppy actually taking the expansion that LiquidHero was trying to take originally. just to have an additional spot to mine, but also to block that for his opponent. Right now, actually, EGSuppy having great map control. He has a Ling at the final spot on the map that is available. And yes, that Nexus has completed on the right-hand side for LiquidHero, and now we're finally seeing some income actually come in for LiquidHero, but the big question is how long is that really going to last?
All right. Is that something we can do? The Jaws theme song?
That's right, because here it comes. Here it comes.
Yeah, no, this is...
Here it
This is
comes.
going to be horrible.
I know. So, I mean,
Well,
this army is so strong right now for Suppy.
Yeah, it's 6 Stalkers, 6 Zealots, and 3 High Templar against basically a death ball. It's a mini death ball, but
it's
it's
a
a
Zerg
death ball.
death ball with queens. Look at that. And the queens are there pretty much just to go ahead and use their little magic transfusion to keep the Broodlords alive.
Transfuse OP.
Just a little bit.
Oh man, those were actually really good storms. That
Yes.
killed like 6 infestors.
Yeah, and they're actually stacked directly on top of each other, and that's why it was so effective. But it just comes down to the army composition, and LiquidHero does actually take Game 2 of this series. And right now, LiquidHero is up 2-0. Alright, so jumping out of that, we're actually going to push on, guys, and do Game 3, 4, and 5 next week. We're kind of breaking them up a little bit because these games are so long. So if you guys did enjoy what you were watching tonight, make sure you guys do check us out next week. It'll be 10 p.m. on Sunday the 19th. And we're going to go over Game 3, 4, and 5 for this ASUS ROG Best of 5 series.
This is so yellow out here. I look so Asian.
You live in like a little Asian mansion, remember? Come on now. It's like, oh, it looks like you have like a glowing coming behind those like dividers behind you. You almost look.
Figure out the best lighting here.
It's okay. You almost look godly there. That's okay.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh, this looks hilarious.
Ding, 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 ding. All right. So, anyways, guys, we really appreciate you guys watching the show so far. Most weeks, if you're joining us for the first time, we're diagnosing one build, breaking down one build, going over exactly how to do that build, the offensive parts of the build, the defensive parts of the build, and also the scouting. If you're following us every week, we really do appreciate it. And, yeah, we just want to mention one last thing here before we head out for today, and that is our sponsor. Please make sure you guys do check out tweakedaudio.com. Buddha and I both are using those earbuds. They're a top-of-the-line earbud. They're designed for gaming, music, and talk. They're complete noise canceling. My wife is always talking to me on the steps, and I can't hear her whatsoever. Good and bad, I guess, right? Anyways, if you're married, you know what I mean.
What's the bad part?
If you're married, you know what I mean. What's the bad part? Also, guys, they're compatible with any of your smartphones, your MP3 players, and they have built-in mics if you purchase that model, which are a few bucks more. But long story short, check this out. 27 bucks for a set of amazing gaming earbuds. You use our discount code BUILDORDER, one word. You get 30% off, which breaks them down to $15.95, and you get free shipping anywhere in the world. So if you live in like Australia and they're shipping from the US, it would cost you like 10 bucks for shipping. So, I mean, come on now, keep that in mind. So anyways, check them out, tweakedaudio.com. They support us, so please go ahead and do definitely support them. Alrighty,
All right,
Buddha.
well, you can
Go ahead.
You can find us. You didn't tell everybody where they could find us, bro? I don't think.
You can find us in so many places. Tell them where they can find us, Buddha.
All right, you guys can find us. Well, oh man, you're always so good at this part. All right, if you're watching us on Twitch, please make sure you check out our YouTube channel where you can find all the VODs for all of our previous episodes and future episodes at youtube.com/thestrategistTV. And if you're watching us on YouTube, come check out the live show at twitch.tv/amovetv. And you can also find us on Twitter at thestrategistTV. And you can email us with suggestions or builds or questions or anything like that. I always try to answer them within a couple of hours at thestrategistTV@gmail.com.
Excellent. Well, guys, make sure you guys do check us out next week. As I said, we're gonna push more. ASUS ROG is like one of the only tournaments recently that has been releasing replays. So
they're so nice.
I know they're awesome. We've emailed other tournament organizations. They are not going to be doing it. So replays more and more are becoming a little bit more difficult to find, especially because some players release replay packs. That's awesome, but then other players are like, nope, especially Korean. I think it's just the culture. They don't want to like release their secrets. So we're trying the best we can with some of these builds to get them out to you guys. If you guys do have a suggestion for a build or a player that you want us to focus on or a play style, as Buddha said, please make sure you send it over to our email, thestrategisttv@gmail.com. And I think that's the show, Buddha. I think that's the show.
So, man. All right, you guys, remember, practice hard, win easy.